Hi guys, welcome back. In today's Q4FY25 business update, we'll be talking about three companies. One is Havells India Limited, the other is Just Dial, and the third is Lotus Chocolate. So two big companies and one very chotu company we're going to be talking about. I know there has been a little bit of delay in terms of making videos, but here is the thing, right? When I'm talking about a large cap company, I would rather wait for the con call transcript and give you guys an overall view rather than making two separate videos, like one on PPT and the result and the other on con call. So that is the thing. And also, most of the companies that I track, usually the results start coming in the next quarter, because not next quarter, next week, because this week it's more about financials, banks, small finance banks, microfinance, and all of that. So yeah, I think from next week we will be even regular, and probably two videos in a day, because that's when a lot of small cap, mid caps, those kind of companies, B2C and B2B companies start coming. Okay, but anyways, right now we will talk about Just Dial. That's the first company we'll talk about. Okay, so what does Just Dial do? What is the business model like? I think most of us have an experience of using Just Dial, at least once in a lifetime, right? Like one of the most common, I would say, use cases that we as consumers have is, let's say if you want, it's a digital version of that yellow book that used to have. I don't know if you guys are old enough as me, but earlier, remember, we used to have that yellow book, and we used to find numbers of hairdresser and that. Similarly, right, Just Dial is a, let's say if you go on the website, you type like dentist near me, then you get all the information regarding the address, what time it is open, the phone number. So this is one, right? It's not just about dentist or any other thing, things like restaurants and everything, and you can drop a review, right? And let's say if you opt for a subscription or something, you get the personal help, from the Just Dial team. So this is one type. The other type over here is, let's say if I am a small business, right, I can get listed on that platform where my website, my mobile applications and everything will be made for me. So this is like a Just Dial is like a platform where both user as well as a seller can interact, and can sell and buy many things also, just like how India Mart Intermesh does. We've discussed that business model also. So they have that part also. So multiple things are there. One is like where they give out information, like so and so restaurant is there. That is one part. Second part is where you can list your business, make a website, make a mobile application. They also have their logistic also, where you can, just like how you can book through Porter, the same way you can book logistic solutions. So a lot of things are there, but mostly you need to understand that Just Dial at the end of the day is a platform business. And how do you make money as a platform business? When a user comes and uses a platform more and more, right? Like that is when, because you make then money, either through subscription, advertisement revenues. Also, let's say when more and more businesses get listed on your platform, even they will pay a fee, right? So this is how Just Dial makes money. Okay. Now, when you see the result, right, let me just tell you, like result, if you look at it, especially on a year-on-year basis, that is FY24 versus FY25, you see that the sales has grown by 9%. Okay. Before I start, I think there was a guidance here by the management telling that for the full year, they will grow in mid-teens. Mid-teens ka matlab kya hai? Somewhere between 14 to 16%. That is the mid-teens, probably in that area, right? So that was the guidance given in terms of top line. And they told margins will be maintained at 25%. Okay, ठीक है, अपना EBITDA margins, ठीक है. Now the result comes, you see two things. One is the sales growth that is there, Q4 on Q4 grew 7%, and in terms of year on year, that is FY24 versus FY25, full financial year ka, it grew 9%. The first thing that should go in your head is like, they missed out on guidance, by a huge mark, right? Because you're telling mid-teens and then you're doing 9%, right? And you tell me, right, it doesn't matter if you're a small cap, large cap, or whatever, right? Like, why would you be invested? I mean, you do all this research and everything, you take up this responsibility. Why would you be invested in a single digit growth company, right? Think about it. Your market, I mean, FD also will give you a 6.5 to 7.5% return. एक 0.5% के लिए आप इतना volatility झेलोगे, like it makes no sense. So one is they missed out on guidance in terms of top line on a huge mark. Now, other thing, profitability, if you look at it, especially the PAT grew by 60%, but there is a catch over here. This time, the tax that is paid, it was hardly 12%, unlike the usual corporate tax rate that is the 20 to 22%. Okay? So that is why the PAT looks huge. The third thing, margins that we're talking about, right? Now, you might tell me, like, yeah, but Prerna, the margins are maintained, right? Margins are at 25%. They've done that. But what is the point of margins if you can't grow your sales, right? Because ultimately, when your sales grows, your margin also will improve slowly. But if only margin is there, tomorrow that margins will not sustain. It becomes hard for that margins to sustain. The other thing you need to ask over here is, how did these margins come at 25%? Okay. Now when you look at last year ka operating expenses and this year ka operating expenses hardly grew. It grew by probably 0.9%. Employee benefit expenses is flat. So all of this, if you look at the total operating expenses, since it didn't grow only, that is why your margins are like that. Let's say if you had a lot of expenses, then now it makes sense, right? Like आपका business grow नहीं कर रहा है, तो आप क्यों खर्चा करोगे? That is why you're having this margins over here, right? So that is the thing. So margins here, where people are, rejoicing over here, understand that when your top line is not growing, then आप कितना भी margins कर लो, it doesn't make sense, because ultimately there will come a day tomorrow where you'll have to sell more of your products in order to sustain your margin. ठीक है? Then the other thing, the last few things are, when you look at their metrics, okay, like when you see how many people have come on the website, what are the unique customers and everything, right? If you look at the total unique customers that are there, that is the new people that are coming to the website, that hardly grew by 10% from Q4 to Q4. The number of people who are visiting the website also grew at that same rate only. ठीक है? अगर आप mobile app downloads भी देखते हो, it grew by around 9 to 10% only. See, so all the metrics that is there, the unique customers who are using, जो भी reviews दे रहा है, reviews also grew by 6-7%, whoever are giving, right? जो आपका reviews grew by 1.35%, ठीक है? और जो active listing है, active listing का मतलब क्या? The businesses that are coming and listing on your platform, right? This also grew by 11%. So think about it. Unique customers grew 11%. जो आपका website को use कर रहा है, ठीक है, Just Dial में, जो reviews drop करते हैं, for different businesses, that grew by 1.35%. And जो listings है, the other business people that are there, that also listing also grew 11%. This clearly shows that, like slowly going forward, कि like इनका आपका acceptance जो है Just Dial का, और या उनका demand, it is coming down. And it also makes sense, right? Like today when you go, you can just Google it and you'll find like all the information on Google. You don't have to go to like Just Dial and then compare everything, right? So that I would say the demand that Just Dial probably had earlier, like I don't see that demand right now, with the array of information that we have right in front of us with just a swipe of finger. It becomes it becomes a very outdated app, outdated technology. The fact that, see, when will anybody come and list on your platform when they know more people are using your platform? So यहाँ पे कोई use भी नहीं कर रहा आपका platform, वो भी घट के जा रहा है. At the same time, इसको देख के जो भी आपका platform में list भी करना चाहते हैं, वो भी list नहीं कर रहे हैं. So either ways, both of it are going out. You can make money either through users or through people who are listing on your platform. दोनों चला जा रहा है, ठीक है? So that is the thing. And आगे जाके बोला है कि like, they would like to continue, accelerate, that's a word they use, accelerate the growth, indirectly telling, probably they would do the same, or they would target that same mid-teens and continue to keep the margins at, 25 to 29%, ठीक है? So that is the thing. So that's that about Just Dial. Mediocre set hai, nothing to talk about it, hardly mediocre. I would say, always check whenever somebody is telling margin expand हुआ है, check कि like, यहाँ पे margins क्यों expand हुआ है, what is the reason? यहाँ पे can you see margins got expanded because कुछ खर्चा ही नहीं किया है. क्यों खर्चा करेगा? business ही grow नहीं कर रहा है, तो unnecessarily खर्चा क्यों करेगा? And you tell me one thing. Let's say for example there are many people visiting my platform, right, and everything. I will have to hire more people to maintain and everything, right? मैं ज़्यादा hiring करूँगी. The fact that आपका employee benefit expenses नहीं हो रहा है, आपका hirings नहीं हो रहा है, it just shows clearly कि like I do not want a business जिसका margin बढ़ रहा है, at the end of the day expenses को कम करके ठीक है? Think about it. If I am earning money, if I have a salary, right, I would like to increase my salary rather than salary को वही रखो और save करते जाओ, right? Ultimately you can save more also when you earn more. That is the same logic I'm trying to put over here. I don't know if you guys are able to make sense of it. The second company we're going to be talking about is Havells India. Now this is a very interesting story over here, because when you look at Havells is primarily a cables and wire company, but they also have this Lloyd, right, जो AC बनाता है. They have switch gears and light बनाने वाला है, LED bulbs also, but mostly it is cables and wire. And Lloyd right now is helping them really, because it is AC season. पहला चीज है, when you look at Havells used to be a 8 to 10% का growth engine, ठीक है? Each quarter we come in Q4, you see that the sales growth improved. It went from that, somewhere between 8 to, in good quarter, they do also 15%. From there, they've gone all the way to 20%. So for a minute, you would think, कि like, भाई इसका तो pace of growth बढ़ गया. जो गाड़ी like, 10 या 15 किलोमीटर में चलता था, now it is going at 20 किलोमीटर per hour. But here is a catch. Okay. So over here, the catch is, उनका PAT भी देखोगे, PAT grew by 16.4. Margin is also, EBITDA margin is also same, stable at 11.5. ठीक है. Why did this pace of growth increase? Like I told you, इनका और एक business है, which is Lloyd, which makes AC. When is the AC season coming up? In March, April, May, right? Because these are the peak summer months that we have. ठीक है. Now March में अगर AC, what will happen is, when if the summer is starting out in March, people, channels, all these channel का people, different distribution channels जो होता है, they tend to stock up on your ACs right now because of this. And right, like last time summer was terrible. We had this El Nino का effect and all, right? And you saw as a result how all the AC people, all the AC companies made money. अगर आप AC बनाते हो, distribution करते हो, even that, AC companies such as that Blue Star and Voltas, even they made shit ton of, money, right? So that is the thing. So they anticipated the same kind of demand what would be like, last year. That is, this is, what was last year? 24, right? 24 and same will be same as 25. Because of this, iska ye 20% ka hua hai. So kal jaake, let's say when the summer season is over and we are back in, let's say like Q2, Q3 ka months, you would see the same, probably that pace of growth will come down, because jo cable and wire ka division hai, cable and wire ka division is still doing the same things as it did in the previous quarter. There is not much changes. और एक चीज है यहाँ पे केबल एंड वायर्स में अगर आप देखते हो, राइट, देयर आर टू थिंग्स. वन इज B2B एंड B2C. ठीक है. और मैनेजमेंट ने क्लियरली बोला यहाँ पे B2B में, देयर हैज बीन अ लॉट ऑफ स्लो डाउन, especially since election, because all these projects that were supposed to happen, that is getting delayed and it's finding hard to pick up that momentum over there. That is in the B2B side. B2C side में क्या हुआ है, consumer is, inflation है and everything, right? And consumer is not willing to spend as they used to. So जो भी demand था, because if you remember this cable and wire space, I think it's been now playing out for like what, 2.5 to 3 years, right? So even the management told the same thing, like the demand is there, demand में कोई problem नहीं है, but having said that, जो demand हमने देखा probably at the beginning of the cycle, it's probably not the same, थोड़ा तो slow down हो चुका है यहाँ पे, there is no doubt in that. ठीक है. So that is in cable and wire. उनका switch gears में तो छोड़ ही दो, as usual, it's not like really profitable. There is so much competition in that LED. वहाँ पे price का war चल रहा है, अभी भी चल रहा है. ये तो 2 साल से इसका price का war चल रहा है. The last thing यहाँ पे जो Lloyd का मैं बात कर रही थी ना, there was an important statement to be caught over here. ठीक है. Because usually क्या होते हैं, this March April में, which is Q4 का 1 महीना and Q1 का 2 महीना में, what happens is उनका 2 चीजें, one is Lloyd का AC, the other one is electrical consumable devices such as आपका fans, coolers and everything. This also जिसका क्या बोलते हैं, sales जो है वो बढ़ता ही जा रहा है. And the management ने एक अच्छा चीज यहाँ पे बोला है, I do not know if it is अच्छा या बुरा, but like जो हमने growth देखा था कि like in the last year, in the same time March of in 24, we are not seeing the same kind of growth in 25 in this year. ठीक है. Like जो March last year में देखा था, जो anticipation हम expect कर रहे थे, it has not been the same case. Why? Because इस टाइम समर जो है, it has been delayed in the north of India. हाँ गर्मी है, but गर्मी has been delayed. At the same time in South India, the horrible summer that was there like last time, even that has been delayed also. So the AC kind of what do you tell, the kind of pickup they were expecting probably because of this delayed in summer, that might not happen probably. अगर ये होता है, again I'm just telling probability, ठीक है, अगर ये होता है, if the summer continues to be delayed, or if the summer is not as harsh as it was last year of April and May, then all these AC companies, PGL, Amber, EPAC, Virtuoso Optoelectronics, सबका pace of growth कम हो जाएगा. Probably not in Q4, because Q4 they might do well, but Q1, because last time Q1 say this time Q1, if you compare, since April and May was very strong, and this April and May might not be strong, right? That pace of growth might really come down for all these companies. So you'll have to watch the entire AC ka space, because huge money was made here last time, but this time you'll have to wait and watch over here. It might not be the same. Agar pace of growth kam hota hai na yahan pe, that becomes a huge red flag over here. That is the thing. So that is one thing. I usually am not really keen on Havells, but that is one thing that I really picked up, from that Lloyd ka thing, that summer is delayed, and it is, last year was terrific for AC, and probably they're not. Another thing that can happen is, see, last year kya hua tha, again, nobody expected summer to be this harsh, okay? And everybody, I think all of you, whoever went to purchase AC, right, you might have that experience ki, like, one AC ka prices went rocket, like, it was so expensive. The second thing that happened with ACs was, everywhere you go, it is sold out, ठीक है? Every channel was sold out. अगर आप e-commerce में जाओ, अगर आप अपने channels, normal AC का दुकान में जाओ, everywhere it was sold out. 2 to 3 months का wait time था. Even in fact to the point कि, like, आपका winter months में भी AC का price didn't come down. Usually when you see AC probably would be like 70-80,000 in like probably like for a 1 ton, 1.5 ton, it would be that much. And if you go in winters, it can come up to like 40-45. Weirdly, last time, the demand for AC was so much, like even in the winter times, the price didn't come down. Okay, that was the thing. So this time, if the summer is delayed, उसके वजह से अगर पेस ऑफ ग्रोथ कम होता है, then ये सब चैनल में, बिकॉज भर के यहाँ पे इस बार चैनल में स्टॉकिंग हुआ है, ठीक है? एंड इफ दैट हैपेंस, ultimately channel ka destocking, the horrible channel destocking will come. Everybody's margin also will be affected. So very important, for any AC companies that you hold, not just to make sure that Q4 ka numbers are achieved, that is important, but at the same time to look forward for, Q1 ka outlook. What is the outlook for Q1 and what is the outlook for FY26? I mean, Q1 is main because unka peak month hai wo April and May, so Q1 is the main quarter. Almost 40% of the sales of the full year happen in that Q1. So that is one thing to look out for. Okay? Again, like I told you, the entire increase in pace of sales growth hua hai yahan pe only because of Lloyd. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened, and that is probably not sustainable. Okay? Then the last company we will do is Lotus Chocolate. As you all know, Lotus Chocolate jo hai, they source this cocoa ka beans, they make a powder out of it, they make various sort of cocoa ka products, and they sell it to bakeries, big FMCG companies. It is a pure B2B business. I have done a detailed video on Lotus Chocolate Company. You can just go to my business analysis playlist and check over there. Okay? So this is a business. They have one plant. They are based out of that Andhra Pradesh, Telangana region, in that part of the country. And, they used to be, recently, I think a year ago, it was acquired by Reliance. Okay? So this was all the hush-push that happened. And I think the first quarter of this year, probably Q1 of this year or Q2 of this year, I don't remember when was it, they made 400%, like Q1 or over Q1 or Q2 or Q2, I don't remember which quarter it is. They grew by 400%. Okay? That tha. And now if you see, अगर आप देखते हो इस Q4 over Q4, and अगर आप पूरा साल का देखते हो, the sales grew by 137 and 300% respectively. So sales जो है पूरा साल में 3x हो गया, and अगर आप Q4 on Q4 देखते हो, it grew by 137%. अगर आप PAT देखते हो, PAT is almost flat आप बोल सकते हो, because not much difference over here. ठीक है? I do not want to take full year, but because full year अगर आप देखते हो कुछ था ही नहीं, so it will be big. But अगर आप Q4 on Q4 देखते हो ना, Q4 में in the last Q4 it was 4 crore. This Q4 it is hardly 1.5 crore. So it has missed out on operating leverage by a huge margin. And the problem with these kind of businesses, with Lotus Chocolate is, see, when result does well, you do not know why it is doing well, whether it is one quarter ka thing or not. Or जब result अच्छा नहीं करता, also you do not know कि, like, is this, just a one quarter ka thing, या pace of growth सही में घट गया, will it be continuing like this? This is a big ambiguity in businesses like this. ठीक है? The other reason also, if you look at it, one of the dampeners, is because last time they didn't pay a lot tax. There was effectively zero tax rate, and this time they paid a lot of tax. Maybe also because the last few years they were loss-making companies, and now they've been profitable, and that is why. Again, that's my wild guess. I do not know how far it is true. But few things I have to note here from the cash flows. The cash flows are a bit concerning, to say the least. Although yes, I know they have done the sales and everything, but over here, if you look at it, the receivables, if you see, the receivables has increased almost 6 folds, almost 5 folds आप बोल सकते हो यहाँ पे, because जो receivable last time का अगर 28 crores receivable था, it has increased from there to 130 crores in this year. Similarly, अगर आप देखते हो उनका inventories भी 4 crore से 70 crore हुआ है, ठीक है? Now inventories maybe, again I'm guessing, because cocoa का price में इतना उतार चढ़ाव होता है, there is all these things, you're probably storing these cocoa beans, you're buying it and hedging it and keeping it in your storeroom or whatever. Maybe that, or maybe you see probably you see a lot of demand, you see a lot of sales, you probably have an order book and you want to cater to that demand. I do not know, again, it's just a wild guess. Maybe that is why the inventory is up. But receivables being up like this, I mean, I understand, like agar up like almost 30 say 130 crore, I mean, it's a huge number. And I understand you're a small business and everything, it is difficult over here to have a bargaining power, negotiate over here. But itna difference, that is a little bit concerning, especially when यहाँ पे कोई information नहीं है, यहाँ पे कॉन कॉल नहीं है, press release नहीं है. This is a bit alarming, I would say. ठीक है, as a result इसके वजह से उसका cash flows भी जो है it is negative, in fact by a huge margin from last time to this time. ठीक है, this is one such business I will tell you कि like it would be great if they come out and do some sort of press release, but I think that's, you can't expect over here from these kind of companies, right? Also, there is no update because earlier there were talks, since Reliance acquired them, maybe they will go and they will move into the B2C also more compared to B2B, especially within the Reliance stores and everything. But again, I don't think they have a plan. I also don't see यहाँ पे इनका कोई भी कैपेसिटी ऐड करने का, कुछ भी ऐड करने का. गॉड नोज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग विद दिस कंपनीज. ग्रोथ है, बट हैविंग सेड दैट, कैन दिस ग्रोथ सस्टेन, दैट इज अ बिग क्वेश्चन. पेस ऑफ ग्रोथ नीचे आएगा, ऑपरेटिंग लेवरेज का क्या होगा, एवरीथिंग बिकम्स अ कंसर्न. द फैक्ट दैट आई वुड सी इवन पैट और आपका पीबीटी भी अगर आप देखते हो इज लोअर, प्रोबेबली इज ऑन दिस लेवल ओनली कि लाइक रिसीवेबल्स जो है, कैश इज नॉट गेटिंग कन्वर्टेड इनटू प्रॉफिट. आपने सेल तो किया है, बट आपने उसको कैश में यू हैवंट, सिंस यू हैवंट रिसीव द कैश from your traders, it becomes very hard even to sustain the current operations that are going forward. ये एक बहुत बड़ा रिस्क भी हो सकता है, because you're selling your product, कैश नहीं मिल रहा है. अगर आपको कैश नहीं मिल रहा है for what you have sold, then ultimately जो existing operations है, to run it becomes very difficult. Your working capital requirements that are there, that can put a strain ultimately. So that is my concern over here, which again, God knows, like I told you, what is happening over here. So that's that with these three companies. I have some more other companies to do, especially there is this IGI बोल के एक है, but I'm waiting for the transcript to come because I've never covered IGI in my channel before, right? So I want to do a complete, like a detailed analysis, where I'm sharing the screen, showing you the business model, and like I can do everything in one video, like business model, result, con call ka transcript, and also we can go through the financial statement analysis. We can do everything in one go. I'm just waiting for the transcript. It's been what, like 4-5 days, the transcript hasn't come. So that's that. That is why even this video took time, because transcript nahi aa raha tha, and finally I just lost it. I was like, let me just listen to the con call. So I sat today and I listened to Havells and Just Dial, and right after listening to Just Dial, iska transcript aa gaya. I was like, what a luck. But anyways, that's that for today's video. I'll see you again in tomorrow's video. Bye.